All right, everyone. Thanks so much for joining us for Weather Where You Are. If you are new to this is our segment where we deep dive a little bit into some topics of weather. And today we're going to be talking about 70s in February. How common are they? You might just be surprised at how many times we've seen 70s in February in years past. And we're also going to talk about uh, once I get that popped up there, how many are on the way in just this week alone as we head through the next 7 days with your first alert forecast. So stick with us, and we're going to take you through some numbers, talk about the outlook as we head through the next several weeks into the beginning of March, if you can believe it, closer and closer to spring. Lots to cover, but first we're going to talk about 70-degree days in February. So for a normal February, if you took the average over 30 years, the National Weather Service takes averages every 30 years. So we actually just got a new one recently in 2020. But nonetheless, an average February has 270-plus degree days in it. Now, last year was quite a warm February. I don't know if you remember that or not. I remember I do, because whenever it gets warm, that just makes my heart warm. And so I remember February last year giving us quite a few nice days. And then everything starts to bloom a little bit early, which can be a little tricky for some, people who are in agriculture. But nonetheless, we'll digress from that. As we look into this year, only one day so far has made it to the 70-degree mark. So we are, of course, in an El Nino winter. Usually that does mean a colder and a wetter winter. We've definitely had a lot of rain so far this year. We're in a surplus, not a deficit. But now we're kind of starting to transition into almost a warmer pattern starting to take over, as if winter's kind of trying to leave us a little bit early. Not necessarily uncommon or unexpected. We had a fairly cold and wet winter, but it's not kind of continuing into the end of winter, at least from what we're looking at right now. And the most amount of 70-plus degree days in a February was all the way back in 1890. So we're not even talking about the 1900s, before the 1900s. And that was 13 days. So last year got very close. This year, definitely not looking close for February, because, of course, we're already more than halfway through the month. And I don't see us getting up to 11, but we are going to add a couple at least over the next 7 days. So here's a look at highs in Atlanta over the next several days. As we head into next week, we're going to get close to 70 degrees tomorrow. So could we hit 70 tomorrow? Sure. Not looking necessarily likely, but you never know. We're going to have a nice south wind coming and pulling in all this warm and moisture-rich air from the Gulf of Mexico. So it's not out of the question, but I don't think we're quite going to hit 70 tomorrow. However, that is in the cards next Monday and Tuesday. So we'll add a couple of days on top of the one day we hit 70 so far this February, and make it 3 as long as that pans out and the forecast pans out by next week. Here's a look at the temperature outlook into early March. So, of course, March several weeks away, spring less than a month away now, the official start of it, the spring equinox. And notice, for much of the eastern half of the United States, in fact, all the eastern half of the United States, warmer than normal weather likely. An average for us right now is around 60 degrees. Our average for February is in the 50s when you take every day of February and you average them all together. So you add every day up and then you divide by the number of days in February. That's your average, of course. You can remember that from elementary school when you learned mean, median, and mode, right? But our average high, as we head into the next several weeks, it looks like we are going to exceed that when it comes to our temperatures. So maybe we'll add even more 70-degree days. We have 2 right now on the 7-day, and who knows where it goes from there. Models only can give us so far of information, but it looks like we are going to round out the month of February and kick off the month of March warmer than average. Now, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have colder days or some freezing mornings. This morning we started freezing, and we had some really cold mornings over the weekend. But when you take an average, that's what we're going to look like, mainly above average. So if you're like me, you're looking forward to it. And this is why. So as we head into next week and we're heading into the 70s, right, there's a reason for it. So a lot of times we show these in the summer, and these do dominate all times of year. But this time of year, when we're starting to transition into those longer days, you've probably noticed the sun setting a little bit later, and you have these areas of high pressure take over. You have the longer daylight hours, you have high pressure take over. Both of those things put together create warmer temperatures. Underneath an area of high pressure, air sinks. When air sinks, it compresses everything underneath it. And think about when your hands rub together. it gets warm, right? When you rub your hands together, that's essentially what happens underneath high pressure. It's compressing all the particles in the air and compressing all of them together, making them bump into each other, just like if you were rubbing your hands, and it makes the air warmer. So that's kind of a tangible way to explain that for you. But as long as that dome of high pressure is in control, we're going to be warmer. Usually that leaves you a little drier as well, and that will be the case as we head into next week. But that'll start to slide off the coast as we head into the second half of the week, which will loosen its control and ultimately allow for a little bit more of a wetter pattern, it seems like, as we head into the second half of the week. So something we'll be watching for you. But in the meantime, today is going to be stunning. Hopefully you've been able to get out and enjoy it so far in some capacity. I know the morning started a little cold, but as we head through the afternoon today, temperatures will climb into the low to mid 60s. Overall, a really nice day with a lot of sunshine. As we head into the evening tonight, if you have any dinner plans, temperatures will drop into the 50s by around 7, so more than likely a good idea to grab a light jacket if you're going to head out for any dinner tonight across North Georgia, across the metro. Tomorrow, some changes in a couple of ways. First, you're going to notice that the clouds are going to build as we head past lunchtime. We'll have mostly cloudy skies by the afternoon. Going to be very warm tomorrow. What you're looking at in those colorful bars there, that's the wind speed and direction. So notice the arrows coming out of the south, even the southwest. That is pumping in a lot of warm and moisture-rich air from the Gulf of Mexico. So that's going to provide us with the moisture for the clouds, also going to give us that nice warm-up. Because even this time of year, with the colder air we've experienced, a big body of water like the Gulf of Mexico, it's going to take a lot longer for that to cool down. So that's actually still quite warm. But nonetheless, tomorrow morning, wind gusts upwards of 15 miles per hour, and then as we head into the afternoon, we're looking more so 25 to 30 mile per hour gusts, and that's a precursor to our cold front. That'll bring us a chance for rain tomorrow evening. So we'll have a few showers out ahead of that front as we head into Thursday night, mainly past sunset, and then I know that model kind of swept through there, but that was my fault. But expect the most widespread rain to move in overnight on Thursday night into early Friday morning. So between like 2 and 4 a.m. is when the most widespread rain will happen across Metro. So if you do need to commute out that early, like the morning team here, we're up and at it on the roads at 3 o'clock. You might get wet. You might hear a few rumbles of thunder outside your window. We're not expecting any severe weather, but the good news is that rain should be out of Metro as we make our way towards 6 o'clock when a lot of you will be commuting to work. That's why it's not a first alert weather day, because we just don't think it's going to have a huge impact on your day. Most of the rain will be out and about by the time everyone gets out on the roads. So after that, those skies will clear through the day on Friday, and it'll be quite breezy on Friday, and that breeze will continue into the weekend as well. So let's show you your first alert 7-day forecast, where we do have 70s in February. Again, we're just going to add on not nearly as many 70s, at least right now, expected as compared to last February, where we had 11 days 70 or above for February, which is definitely abnormal considering the record is 13. But your 7-day forecast looks great. Beautiful day today. We have that rain chance late Thursday, mainly after 8 o'clock, and then into very early Friday morning by 7 a.m. Well, really 6 a.m. we're dry. If that changes, though, we'll let you know. Models have been a little shifty with the timing of this front, so we'll keep you posted on it. And then low 60s Friday, will be near 60 on Saturday. We'll kick off the weekend breezy and cooler, so you'll need some layers on Saturday for sure. Waking up cold in the 30s on Sunday, but highs will rebound back into the mid to upper 60s on Sunday. And then there are those 70-degree days on Monday and Tuesday, and we'll introduce a small rain chance on Tuesday of next week. All right, everyone, thanks so much for spending some time with us here for Weather Where You Are, giving you a look into 70-degree days in February. Yeah, here in North Georgia, that is perfectly normal to have, and we're kind of right on par with average, with expected 3 days of 70-degree days above. Normally we have 2, but if we enter into the pattern that it looks like we're entering into, we might add a couple more to that before the month comes to an end. We'll keep you posted on that forecast, though, on the Atlanta News First Alert Weather app and on air. Thanks so much for spending some time with us for Weather Where You Are. We'll catch you here next time.